This week I was able to keep expenses relatively low, making up for the past 2 weeks of overages. I'm going to show you how I did it and talk about the plan for the rest of June. Are you ready? Let's go! Welcome back to Ready Budget Go. My name is Drew, and on this channel we talk about household budgeting, saving money, and achieving our financial goals. If those sound like things that you vibe with, please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below, because I would love to hear from you. It's time for the weekly budget update, and I'm going to start as I always do with the cash dump. So I've got all of my pouches here ready to go. So this first one, if you haven't seen one of these videos before, or if you're new, is where I keep all of my cash for the week. I usually start with $100 in 20s at the start of the week, and then whatever's left over at the end of the week, I deduct that from the 100, and that's what I spent. This week I started with $60 because I didn't have time to go to the ATM, and $60 is what I had left over at the end of last week. This week I have sweet diddly squat. So all of the money is either spent or it is going into the gift savings challenge, the Letterbucks challenge. So let me talk about that next. I'll set this aside. So this pouch is where I keep all of the $1 bills and $5 bills that I get throughout the week, as well as all of the coinage. So I'm going to take out the coins first. There's not a whole lot here. I think that's it. So let's see, there's about 75, 85, 88 cents. So that is going to go into the coin bag. And I saw that Amazon has announced Prime Day for this year. Ugh. So I am going to cash these in for a gift card in the coming days so that I can use that for birthday and Christmas presents on Amazon. If you use Coinstar to count your coins and you get a gift card or a gift certificate, you do not pay the counting fee. The merchant pays the counting fee. So even if Coinstar is off by a little bit in their counting, I figure it's worth it to me, just not to have to sit here and roll them all. So that's that. I'm going to set this aside. And that leaves the $1 and $5 bills. Originally, I was doing only the $1 bills, but I realized I need more money in my gift fund because this is not just Christmas, it's also birthdays. And June was a busy birthday month for me, for the people that I choose to exchange gifts with. So I am going to separate all of these into the 1s and the 5s. And let's see how much is going into the challenge. Okay, so we have 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, $25 this week. So that means in real cash, I only spent $35 because I started with 60, 25 of it is going into Letterbucks, and the rest was what I spent. Okay, so I'm going to take out this big pile of cash, which is what I have accumulated so far for June. At the end of the month, or probably in early July, I will do a stuffing video for Letterbucks. I've done a few of those already. They're available here on my channel. There's a playlist for them if you'd like to go back and watch them. But I will be stuffing all of these into that challenge. Letterbucks just means the letter on the front of the bill, which is the branch of the Federal Reserve where that particular bill was distributed. This is an F, which is Atlanta, Georgia. Okay, so I'm going to put these two pouches back. This one's ready to go for this next week. And then I'll break here, we'll get out the budget binder, and we'll talk about all of the money that came into and out of my life this week. Okay, here we are in the budget binder, so let me get this open, and we'll go to the June page, the overview page. For income, I didn't have anything come in this week. I get paid twice a month, on the 15th and on the last day of the month. So on the 30th, I will be able to fill in for paycheck 2, but for now, nothing more to report for this week. So that brings us down to the bills section. PUD, which is my electric bill, did come out. That was $47 on a budget of $60, so not bad there. Affirm, which is my cell phone hardware, was $43, as planned. Visible, my cell phone plan, was $35, as planned. Canva Pro, I just got that bill today. That was $120. This is technically a business expense, which I don't normally track here, but I decided I was going to cash flow it into bills just because I use stockpile money to put toward my business expenses, and I'll talk more about that when we get there. And then my haircut, this is something that I forgot last week. I had another ATM withdrawal for $60 last week, and that was specifically for my haircut. I used a local barber instead of going to the one that I went to before I moved, just because I didn't have time to make an appointment and go all the way up there to see her. So I used a local barber here, and so instead of spending $100, I spent only $60. So I missed out on that bi-weekly or bi-monthly day that I give myself just to have a relaxing day, get my hair cut, go for a relaxing ferry ride and all of that. But I also saved $40 or didn't spend $40 that I otherwise would have. So that's all the bills that I had planned for June. I'm not going to total this out yet just because we have a couple more days left, and who knows, there could be something that I forgot that's going to rear its ugly head. So we'll leave that alone for now. Wallet we will come back to as always. This means my expenses for incidentals, groceries, household, things like that. Stockpiles, I did use this 1200. I actually used a little bit more than the 1200, so that will come out of just my checking account buffer. But all of the money that I had stockpiled, I did use. I put some of it toward my savings challenge for subscribers. We'll talk about that more in the savings section. Excuse me, of the video. The other portion of I used, and this was the lion's share, went as a bridge loan to Ready Budget Go for some printing expenses that came in. So that went on the business credit card. So I will eventually get repaid for that, maybe not for a while, but when you are in startup mode, that's kind of how it goes. So I am going to total this out because I have no more money to allocate. So stockpiles will finish at 1200. Savings and extra debt this week for my game night and for the savings challenge books, which are on Mondays and Wednesdays. I ended up putting $301 into the Roth IRA, so I can total this. So we had 1210.19, so 1219. This is usually a little bit over just because I always want to make sure I'm putting in at least 300, and I don't use IOUs in any of the challenges. So if I'm over by a couple bucks, I'll just put a couple more bucks in. Okay, so 1219 for savings, and that's that. Okay, so let's talk next about what's next? Cash flow. Okay. So here in the cash flow tracker, this is basically like a check register. And I had only a handful of transactions this week because I didn't go to the ATM, so I don't have to record that. I made a credit card payment, and this is for my business credit card for Ready Budget Go. That was $1166.45. So almost all of the 1200. Like I said, it was the lion's share. I sent money to my brokerage for my Roth IRA, as I do every week. That was $301, like we talked about. And then the high yield savings, the big move, which is a sub account in my high yield savings, got $78.31. So that is the rest of the stockpile money plus a little bit from my checking account buffer. And that is to make me even with where I'm supposed to be. We'll talk about that more in detail when we get to the savings section. But for now, let's go over to the expenses. I did not have all that many expenses this week. I am pretty proud of myself. So on the 20th, I had DoorDash, food, and that was $23.71. On the 21st, Metropolitan Market, which is a grocery store here, food, that was $73.44. On the 22nd, DoorDash again, food, and that was $22.66. And that was because that was a really hot day. I couldn't bear the thought of cooking, even though I have air conditioning. On the 24th, Safeway, groceries, food, $40.95. 25th, DoorDash, food, $27.86. And finally, today, for 5, yep, we'll record the weekly cash, which doesn't get a category because it could have gone to anything. Mostly it goes to food. This is mainly, I use this for lunches out on work days. And that was $60. So let's get out the calculator and total everything up. So 2371, 7344, 2266, 4095, 2486, and 60, $245.62. So before we leave this page, I want to get out a highlighter, and I've got one handy here. It's pink, which I have already used, so I'm going to dig for one. Please bear with me. I will give you a sneak peek to an item coming to my Etsy shop this week while I'm digging. There we go. There is something printed on the other side, but if you want to see what that is, you'll have to come back for the full video, which should launch on Saturday, where I talk about all the items coming to Etsy for the June drop on the 28th. Okay, so I grabbed this blue highlighter. I'm going to highlight all of these, and I do this just to track which expenses went to which budget week, because my weeks run from Friday through Thursday, and I want to make sure that I'm keeping track of who's who in the zoo as far as these expenses go. Okay, so let's go back to the budget overview, and we'll plug in that number. So on a budget of $300 for the week, I spent $245.62, which isn't half bad. That does pretty much knock out the overages from the last 2 weeks. So in fact, let's see where we are. So let's add 317.02 and 330.32. So I'm at $892.96, and I had allowed myself $900, so I'm actually about $7 to the good. So that's great. Okay, let's now talk about savings. So we'll go over to the savings section. And the first thing we'll talk about is the Roth IRA, or my sloth IRA, because I'm taking it slow this year. In previous years, I have rushed to fund my Roth IRA early in the year, which is fine. But this year I had other goals, so I decided I was going to take the IRA a little bit slower. So I did put $300 in, well, 301, so that allows me to stamp out 3 more sloths. And we are getting really close here. So another couple of months, and I should be fully funded for 2025. So I'm just going to write this down, that on the 25th, I contributed $301, and that puts me at $4,000, let's see, $770. So not too bad. Okay, next let's talk about savings challenge, which is the monetization tracker. In order to get monetized on YouTube, well, the clearest path is to get 1,000 subscribers and a certain number of watch hours. I think it's like 3,000 watch hours in a year. So I am at 525 as of the time that I'm recording this. So I've got 52 circles filled in, which means I should have $2,600 in my savings account dedicated to the big move, which is what this is going toward. Now, I did add $2,000 into that account previously to try to catch up on some of this. What I had forgotten is that I already had 400 and some odd in there. So I transferred some more money over to that, and with everything all said and done, I am at the 2,600. So I need to write in what I transferred and when. So let me do that real quick. I'm going to break the video here and get those numbers, and then I'll fill them in here on the tracker. And we're back. Okay, so I went back and I recorded all the transactions that have gone into this fund since I started keeping track of it. This is a fund within my high yield savings account, so this money is separate from my emergency fund, separate from the holiday and gift fund. It is its own pot of money within that one account. So what I did is when I first started this on April 4th, I put in the interest for that month into this particular account, which was $40.44. That was interest that I'd earned on my emergency fund. So that's what I used to kind of seed the big move fund. Then on May 1st, I deposited $436.98. I have no idea where that money came from. I think that was probably an Etsy pay. On June 23rd, I deposited $2,044.27. Now, this was the $2,000 from the stockpile money in May and the interest that I had earned in April. So, or sorry, the interest that I'd earned in April or in May. I can't remember which. Like I say, things got a little confused here. So this was already in my high yield savings account, but it wasn't allocated to the big move. It was just sitting in the main account. So I pushed it over to the big move on June 23rd. And then today, or yesterday rather, I put in the $78.31, and all of that brought it up to $2,600, which is where it should be according to this tracker that I'm working on. So everyone who subscribes, which means every one of you watching who is subscribed to my channel, is one of the people who is counted in this. And that is that every person who subscribes, I am saving $5 until we get up to 1,000 subscribers. After that, I will do a different challenge. Or if I end up with extra money between now and then, I will start another challenge in parallel to this so I can still be putting money toward the big move. Although with all the medical and dental expenses I've had lately, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. But this is the fund that I am working on right now. I've already got my emergency fund fully funded. I've got my blip fund fully funded, and the blip fund is just to catch any of the little unbudgeted expenses that come up in the course of a month. And so that's about $2,500, $2,600, something like that. And that will catch any of those that occur where I need money in a hurry. And then if I use the blip fund, then that becomes the new priority to get that back to where it needs to be, $2,500 or so, before I can come back to saving for the next goal. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's what I'm working on right now as far as the big move. If you're new to my channel, the big move is a plan that I have to move to another state. I am looking to do that ideally in 2026. That is the plan. And I figure I need around $15,000. So I'm on my way. It's still quite a ways to go, but I'm working on it. So, okay, that is it for the update for this week. Like I say, coming this weekend, I will have a video coming out with all of the items that are dropping in my Etsy shop for June, so look forward to that. That should come out probably Friday evening on... Yeah, I'm going to try for Friday the 27th to have that out because everything should launch at midnight Eastern Time on Saturday, June 28th. So early in the morning on June 28th Eastern Time, late in the evening on Friday if you're on the West Coast like I am. And then next week I will be back Monday for game night, Wednesday for the Savings Challenge books, and then at the end of the week I'll be here again to go over the last week of June. We'll close out the June budget, and then the 4th of July weekend, I should also have the Letterbox Challenge out for all of the $1 and $5 bills that I've been able to set aside in June. So that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching, and especially for watching all the way through to the end. If you like the video, please leave it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. I'll save $5 if you do. It's right here. And until I see you in the next one, take care.